Welcome, guys, to the followers of the Multiverse podcast. I am one of your hosts, David, along with Jason.
Hello.
And Rachel.
Hey.
And this is a day that we have been waiting for.
I didn't know I didn't know I was waiting for this day. And then, I was waiting for this day, and I blame David, and I don't even think he's sorry.
I'm not sorry. Not one bit.
Yeah. This is the spoiler review. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry about what
This is this is our spoiler-filled review. If you haven't seen this movie yet, one, what are you doing with your life? Because I don't understand how you haven't seen this movie yet. But if you haven't seen it yet, we do have a spoiler-free review that I did on Saturday. It's about 13 minutes long.
It's literally 10 minutes of David screaming.
Yeah, basically. So if you haven't seen the movie, go and check that out first, and then come back and listen to this. Because one, I don't know how long this is going to be. Probably going to be pretty long. And we're going to get into everything that happened in the movie and questions I have about what comes next.
As long as it's shorter than my large review of the Force episode, I'm good.
Perfect. We can make that happen.
I don't have another 3 hours in me.
But
we're going for
guys.
4. We're going for 4.
I got another appointment in 3 hours. Let's go, guys. Fit it in.
This is your warning. From this point on, spoilers all day. There's no turning back now. So you've been warned. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Spider-Man.
Garfield and Tobey Maguire in the movie.
Oh my God.
I got it spoiled by the app I was using to figure out when I could go to the bathroom.
Guys,
apparently I'm old.
I figured we just put the big spoiler out front.
Yeah,
and then we don't have to go back and walk around it the rest of the podcast.
Right.
Right out front.
I knew they had to be. Otherwise, David would not have been on the plane of existence he was on. I could kind of figure it out from David.
I will tell you this. Well, let's just start from the beginning of the movie, and then we'll work our way through.
Okay, I'm going to pull up. Emily gave me her stuff to read into the record. Do you want me to just put in her points as we hit each one?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, she did it pretty chronologically, I thought. But
okay,
if not,
let me put this where I can edit it so I can take points out as we go. Okay, so first, just basic. Do we want to start with just basic impressions overall?
Sure. Yeah.
I loved this movie. I have never seen a Marvel movie in the theater before, and I loved this movie. But I felt like I might have missed something because there wasn't very many people in my showing. I went to a 5 p.m. one with open captions.
Yeah.
Which, if you're like me and you don't process audio particularly well, it was really helpful.
Mm-hmm. I saw this movie on Thursday, and I saw this movie on Friday. Both times, packed theater. Everyone was wearing their masks, which is good. But I'll tell you guys, I have never been in a theater that was so hyped and so on the same page. It was amazing. But the Friday night crowd was even better than the Thursday crowd. And the benefit I had of being there Friday night is I knew what was coming, and I was able to brace myself for the reactions. But I am not joking when I say this is my favorite superhero movie ever made. This is my favorite Spider-Man movie ever made. This is my favorite Marvel movie ever made. This
is David's favorite movie.
This is my favorite movie of all time. There's no This is
David's Rogue One.
So when we do the rest of the MCU and we have to rank them, we'll just go ahead and just.
This is number one.
Oh my God, we are not ranking 25 movies. It's not going to happen.
Have you not met me? Of course we are.
David, I'm the same person as you. I share half the brain with the list thing, but we can't rank 25 movies.
We'll do it one day.
Okay.
We'll do it one day. Okay.
Emily's Jason, go ahead. Then I'll read Emily's thoughts into the record after Jason goes.
Okay.
rare is the occasion that a movie kind of lives up to the hype and what you think is going to happen. There's even some like some of the best movies that you go in and you're like, there's still like these moments like, this one is, I don't want to say amazing, but it does live up to the hype. I mean, as much as I thought that they did a really good job with Endgame and sort of paying everything off that you've been sort of invested in, this one, I don't know. Just as what I really liked about it, just without getting too deep into it, is with all of the fantastical things and the people from other movies and other universes and guest stars and Easter eggs, the movie was still about Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Yes.
I remember this moment watching it, and again, because we've already spoiled it, it's the moment on the roof when they all find Peter after Aunt May's died. And by the way, for the sake of this, let's just call them Andrew and Toby.
Yeah, because we're gonna get in that same scene where they're like, Peter.
Peter.
Yeah.
Tom Holland, for the sake of this, can still be Peter, can still be Spider-Man, but let's just call them Andrew and Toby because. Yeah. And by the way, when Tobey Maguire makes another Spider-Man movie and Tom Holland and Andrew guest star in it, he could be Peter Parker and they'll be Tom and Andrew.
There you go. Exactly.
But there was this scene in there, and he's, and it's like, it's super exciting. It's like, because if you pull back, it's like, it's Tom, it's Peter Parker talking to Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, talking to Tobey Maguire, and they're talking about how this loss. And there's a moment where I was just watching it and I kind of came out of the movie for a second. I was like, this scene is still about Peter Parker. This whole movie is about Spider-Man. This whole movie is about Peter Parker. It's about his journey. It's about him.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you stay so invested in it.
Yes.
Because everything is about him. These great characters from these other movies, I mean, they could have just done fans, and to a certain extent, it is fan service. And that's what it could have just been. That just look at this, look at this. But all of the characters in there, they mean something. They mean something to the main character. And I really wasn't expecting how well they were going to pull it off. And hats off to John Watts and all those cats because
okay. Emily's non-spoiler thoughts. It was fantastic and an even better experience watching it with a theater full of fans.
Yes.
I liked that the first half of the movie really focused on making sure this was still Tom Holland's movie and it gave him a reasonable motive. I was basically applauding the whole movie. Effects and acting were great.
Good. Because I think 99% of people probably feel the same way. And instead of going through the whole movie, let's just talk about what we like, just what made us lose our minds, what made us cry, what made us, like go, oh my God.
Emily pointed out that I called Aunt May dying and I still wasn't ready. I was like, okay, she's fine. And then it was like, have you guys seen Skyfall?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where you see like that M is hit and her hand's bloody, but she's fine. And then all of a sudden, she's not.
What got me was when she gets up and she's talking to Peter and then, she says the line, with great power comes great responsibility, and I'm gonna cry. She says the line, and then she says, "Hey, all right, let's get out of here." And then you see a little before that, her hand tremble while she's like touching his back, and you see that, and you're like, "Oh no, she's gonna die." And then she collapses, and then probably the best acting I've seen in a very long time, getting that emotion out. But when Peter's like, Amy, what are you doing? Like, stop. Like, we got to get out of here. What are you doing? And she wouldn't wake up. She wouldn't, move. She wouldn't do anything.
Oh, the part where
then Happy gets there.
I was just gonna say the moment where he just you as the audience member know that she's gone, but he hasn't processed it yet.
Yeah.
It's like that scene from The Lion King,
and he's just like, "Come on, man, come on, let's get up, come on, let's go," and just more and more tears. And Tom Holland, there's that scene in Homecoming where he's like crying underneath the thing, and it gets me every time. And this had a lot of parallels to that, of just that raw emotion of just like, because he just kept saying, "Hey, come on, let's," just like, oh, and then he has to leave her because the SWAT guys are coming. And he can't even stay to like have the ambulance come in and get her, and like he can't even stay and do that because they're still trying to get him, and it's just, oh.
Emily says that she did not expect Aunt May to die, but the moment she said the line, I audibly said, "Oh no, she's not gonna make it," because I'm sorry, these are her exact words. Ain't nobody talk about responsibility and live.
Yeah. At this point, that line is sort of like the curse of death. If you just say it, you're probably going to get killed.
And Rachel, I know you haven't seen this show yet, but in What If, in the Doctor Strange episode, I think it's in that one, the whole idea is, Christine Palmer, who's the doctor that he's in love with and whatnot. In that universe, she always dies.
Yeah, you told me about this episode, so I got you.
Probably the best episode of the one, I thought.
Yeah. So in that episode, he talks about there are certain absolute points in time that you cannot change no matter what you do. And this is Peter's. Whether it be Uncle Ben, whether it be Aunt May in this universe, that line and that moment is synonymous with the character's growth. So you will never escape that. And I'm sure some people thought that was what Tony was for him in Endgame, but no, this was his Uncle Ben moment, except it ended up being Aunt May.
I am so angry because what did I tell you when we started watching the third series of Spider-Man movies? I did not have it in me to watch Uncle Ben die again.
Well, you didn't watch Uncle Ben die, but you watched
Apparently, I need to be specific when I speak.
I don't want to see a Parker relative die.
Well, it does raise questions for me of, so who was Uncle Ben to him in this universe? Because he clearly isn't the guy that imparted that wisdom in the 6 months that he was, and when he became Spider-Man and he went off with Tony. So it makes me sort of, and in Homecoming, they made it sound like him dying had happened not like the last couple weeks, but enough where it was still fresh.
Yeah, but one thing I also noticed is that at the end of the movie, and I know we're jumping around here, when Peter goes to the graveyard, there's no tombstone next to Aunt May.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of expecting. Parker. I was expecting to see Benjamin Parker and Dave Parker, but I didn't see that.
So who knows? Maybe he did die, but just different place, different time, or there was, so many things could have happened. Divorce. Who knows?
If he died a long time ago, like, because they talk about him like he has died.
Yeah.
But if he died,
the deleted scenes in Homecoming, there was supposed to be a deleted scene in Homecoming where the suit that Peter wears to the Homecoming dance is one of Uncle Ben's. And that suitcase that he has in Far From Home, the initials on it are like BFP or something like that. So
it's like if he, if let's say Uncle Ben died fairly young, if we get that idea that maybe Peter knew him, but it was still pretty, maybe it's just after he went to live with them or whatever.
Yeah.
And you get that idea. It's possible if his parents were still alive, if his parents were buried near, like Uncle Ben's parents would be buried with him, and there was, so they didn't have my family, my mom's relatives have been figuring out who has their family burial plot. So there's apparently a lot of things to think about with this.
Interesting.
But yeah, there's all things. Or if he was a veteran, he could have been buried in a military cemetery. Right. So there's all sorts of.
Yeah, there's all sorts of. No, by the way, it's not a huge question. No. I feel like it's answered enough within the films. I'm just sort of curious if we'll ever get any more like little detail about it, because
I am really going to agree with one of Emily's points here that I'm going to bring up, that this is a movie where the hot male lead, because Tom Holland is adorable, but he can cry and show emotion. Like they let their, attractive male superhero cry. And it didn't make him.
They let him do everything. Like he did everything but sing and dance.
Apparently that's soon.
But which he can do if you've ever watched him on, was it Lip Sync Battle from like
yes, because if he's on Lip Sync Battle, you have to retweet it when it comes across your timeline. That's the rule. If you see it, you must retweet it.
And because it's brilliant, it's unbelievable. God, yeah. It's unbelievable.
But I love that idea that, and I've said this about the later Star Wars movies too. They really give the idea, because before people were pretty, in the older Spider-Man and Star Wars, people were a lot of stoic, and this is really, we saw him cry multiple times, and honestly though, his reaction to Aunt May's,
Andrew cried.
I know he did, but I'm just saying it was a much more, I guess, focused on it in this one.
Yeah.
It wasn't like single couple manly tears.
Well, he did it a lot. He had a lot of reason to, but he did it a lot because he just everybody.
There was snot crying. It was snot crying. But it wasn't Peter's reaction to Aunt May's death that killed me. It was Happy's, honestly.
Oh yeah. Well, plus, and just Happy, like that little nod that he gives to Peter that you got to go, and like,
yeah,
and it's okay.
David just texted in the Discord. He needs us to stand by for a second. His Wi-Fi went out again.
Okay, I just got a thing on here.
I think I'm good now.
Okay.
If it goes out again and if you want to transfer hosting to one of us, you could always call in.
Oh, that works.
So if you want to transfer hosting before you lose it again, and if it does, just message us and call in. I don't know. I've used that before.
Right, Rachel, I'm gonna make you the host.
Okay.
And there you go, guys. We're doing this on the fly during the episode. I'm not taking this out. But
if anybody ever, for everyone who ever thinks that podcasting is glamorous, it's not. No. It's a bunch of people on Zoom trying to make microphones.
Don't let them lie to you. Yeah. It's super glamorous.
It's glamorous when we get like
I don't have a dog licking its paw for no reason over here for the last 20 minutes. I have supermodels in here. So,
This couch is older than I am, Jason. Where is my shill money?
Zara, I really do need you to stop. Oh, you have a toy. Never mind. I thought she was just licking her paw because her tags are so long that just scrape along the ground every time she licks. And it's just, I just hear this jingle. Hi, baby. I didn't mean to embarrass you. Did I embarrass you?
Oh, you're such a good girl, baby. It's okay. Your dad's
wrong. I embarrass you. I'm sorry.
Where were you guys in the discussion?
Sorry, I was talking about how it wasn't Peter's reaction to Aunt May's death that broke me. It was Happy's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just stare and open mouth. Yeah, that was, and then getting thrown on the hood of the car, and for whatever reason, when the SWAT team started firing, I thought they just killed him.
I thought I
don't know why. I was like, are you kidding me?
Okay, have you seen No Way Home? God, that we're talking about No Way Home. Have you seen No Time to Die yet, David?
Yes.
Okay, after that, I don't think heroes are safe in movies anymore.
Oh, no. I was kidding myself in that movie. I was like, he's going to make it out of there. And then he didn't. I was like, oh, God.
The problem is I talked to one of my friends and we said the opening gave us big Rogue One vibes. And then the island blew up and I'm like, Robin!
Yeah, not good.
By the way, spoilers for No Time to Die, if you haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's
too much. It's fine.
It's fine.
But anyway, like that because in my mind now, heroes are no longer safe. All I could imagine was like, what if they killed Spider-Man and MJ or Ned takes up the suit, or the other guys come in because there's no Spider-Man, and I'm just like, please don't kill him. He doesn't deserve that. He's a precious cupcake.
Everything he had been through in this movie, I think to kill him would have been
too
rude.
They've just been too cruel. Like it's he already is in a sense kind of dead at the end of the movie. Not dead, but he's he's disconnected from everybody. What I thought was going to happen to him at the end is I thought to fix this spell they were just going to send him into another universe.
Well, let's talk about the spell because
oh my god. Can I talk about how much I love Doctor Strange for about 30 seconds? It is one of the only Marvel movies I've seen, but that's mainly because Doctor Strange is my brother's favorite Avenger. So my sister and brother made me watch it with them because I love Benedict Cumberbatch and I love his sarcastic asshole self. And I knew as soon as he said that, I'm like, he didn't actually say Scooby-Doo this crap. That sounds stupid coming from Doctor Strange. Spoiler alert, the line in the movie is Scooby-Doo this shit, and I would like it on a t-shirt immediately.
It made much more sense in the movie than in the trailer.
Yeah.
But speaking of the spell, this and actually the plot in general, when you watch the trailer, you just think, well, you have a couple questions. Why are these villains coming into this universe? Are Peter's motivations for doing this selfish, or are they for another reason? And those are the two main points. And then you watch the movie and you're like, okay, Peter's motivations for the spell are not selfish. He's realizing that just by having an association with him, his friends' futures are going nowhere. They're not getting into MIT. They're, getting questioned in a police precinct. Like all this bad stuff is happening.
Honestly, the only selfish part, of his reaction is that he doesn't want other people to
forget that he's
sorry, brain just froze for a second there. That he doesn't want the other people to forget because he wants to keep those people in his life. He wants selfishly, I don't think it's super selfish, but selfishly he wants to be able to keep them knowing he's Spider-Man and have all that entails for him.
Yeah.
Without any of the problems from people knowing he's Spider-Man. Also, fucking Jake Gyllenhaal, you had to mess shit up. They were doing good, and then you just.
Well, that's Mysterio for you.
I would say this. It is not. I don't know even, and I don't know how to fix it. But I kind of wished either in Far From Home or a little bit in this movie, but I guess really in Far From Home. I guess because everything with Mysterio was so localized, you didn't see how the rest of the world thought of him. So, I guess for me, and it might also have to do with I know that Mysterio was a villain, that everybody is so upset that Spider-Man killed Mysterio. That I was just sort of like the one who wants to beat up MJ because Spider-Man killed Mysterio. I was like,
so random.
What the hell?
It's really part of like this is real. Sorry. What I liked about these movies is they really do kind of go with the idea of what would it be to be Spider-Man in the age of social media.
Yeah, of course. And the spell itself, another thing a lot of people thought was it was an evil Doctor Strange and that it wasn't a spell that was actually going to do anything. And it was just going to be this big ruse and, blah, 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 which obviously didn't end up happening.
No, it's just Doctor Strange that can't do things.
And no, but it was also an intentional misdirect in the trailers with the whole Wong saying, oh, you better not do that spell. And he's like, okay, I won't. And then he winks at Peter. It's not even in the movie. And then you realize what the spell means later. And it's everyone who knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man from every universe was going to come in. And then obviously Doctor Strange is doing a spell. He loses it for a second and traps it. And now he's like, luckily I stopped it before it got too bad. And then we fast forward to the bridge. Peter's trying to talk to the MIT lady. And then if you watch the trailers and you hear the boom, you know what's coming. And for both of them, Doc Ock and Willem Dafoe, both times at the theater, the crowd, and it was so cool. I haven't seen these people on screen since 2002 and 2004. It was incredible.
Incredible. It was such a good reveal, honestly. And Jason and I did have questions, though. Was it you I had questions with, Jason, where we were talking about did he manage to trap it, and was that the thing? Because like the MJs and Gwens and people who
that was I had that question. I was like, because the way they made it sound like, and I think it's more of a semantic thing. And by the way, this is not a criticism of the movie. It's just a question I have. I'm like, did Gwen from The Amazing Spider-Man and MJ come through as well? Because they knew that Peter was Spider-Man in their universes. Did Harry Osborn's show up? Because they knew. My answer to that, and I thought about it later, and it had to do with by the way, talking about spoiling this movie, it had to do with the mid-credit scene. Because Venom knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. So it could be that they did come through, you just didn't see them. They really only found Toby and Andrew because Ned was doing the Doctor Strange thing. But they, so somewhere in New York could have been Gwen Stacy and
Bryce Dallas Howard is wandering around.
No, because she didn't know that he didn't know he was Spider-Man. It would have been the Emma Stone Gwen and Dennis Leary.
That is true. Jason did right after he saw this movie ask me why Dennis Leary did not get
Dennis Leary.
Okay, this might be the fact that I'm not super clear. So the Spider-Men, plural, Toby and Andrew, were in his New York wandering around, right? I thought that Ned had told them from their universes.
No, the way I took it is they were in the MCU.
Yeah.
They came over because Andrew says, I was swinging around and then yesterday. So they've been in town for like a day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I must have missed some of that. I was kind of too busy spilling my popcorn because I'm a klutz.
Right. So that was just a question I had, but it doesn't matter because they all went back in the end.
Yeah.
And also the way it looked towards the end of the movie when Doctor Strange was trying to stop everybody from coming through, it looks like only like a certain amount of people came through, not everybody. So it could have been some of those people were Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane from the Raimi movies, Dennis Leary. I mean, some of those people could have been coming
I
through.
saw 3.
You saw 3?
And there were 3. One of them was Rhino. One of them was Scorpion. And one of them was Kraven.
Yeah, I heard Kraven was it. I wanted to read as part of the reason I want to, by the way, I've already decided I'm getting the 4K version of this, even though I don't have a 4K TV.
Yeah.
I just want to have it so that when I do get a 4K TV, I don't have to buy this again.
Yeah. So you see those 3 because watching it a second time, I knew, to look for that particular moment. And you do see a guy with a spear and, that traditional sort of
and plus they've cast
like fur vest that he's got on.
They cast somebody as
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, so he's going to be Kraven at some point.
Yeah.
So then we were like, we have to design stick this.
Yeah. In. Yeah. So going back to the villains entering, we get Lizard, Sandman, Electro, Doc Ock, and Green Goblin.
Oh my God. The fact that they kept like not lampooning exactly, but the fact that they were joking about Lizard's plot after we'd kept joking.
By the way, Jamie Foxx backed me up when I said that I said that the movie that the Amazing Spider-Man was good until he turned everybody to Lizard. And Emily was like, no, that's not what happened. Jamie Foxx backed me up in that movie. He was like, it got weird. He was trying to turn everybody into a lizard. Like almost verbatim what I said.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with Emily's thoughts in here. She wants you to know for Andrew's Uncle Ben did not say the with great power comes great responsibility line. He's a big liar pants. Which I guess he could have told Peter that at a different time.
He does mention responsibility because I just watched Amazing Spider-Man before jumping on here. He says a variation of it. He says he says responsibility.
And I mean, he doesn't need, and it could have been something he told him before, when they were talking about something else. And also apparently Emily shrieked when Andrew Garfield showed up. So apparently Emily's crush on Andrew is in full force.
I
can I
lost
tell you the
my
one
mind.
thing that I thought was going to be an issue wasn't in the movie, but this by the way, this movie did its homework because
oh yeah,
because remember we were talking a couple weeks ago. It's like I'm like Sandman and him made up. Why would Sandman be trying to kill Spider-Man in this new movie? And when you first see Sandman, he's helping him. He helps him get Electro.
Where did it say? We need more. Emily says that we need more Sandman, please. I love how he started off being like, Peter, my bro, let me help you. But that went out the window and didn't feel very dynamic.
If he would have seen Toby, he would have been like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was Tom, the fact that it was, and then the whole, zapping Electro, and then he's like, wait, did you just kill him? What did you do? Obviously, that's going to freak you out.
Yeah. And I did love in that scene when he missed. I forget.
He hit the tree.
He hit the tree, and Ned's like, "So is this like a monster tree, or is this just like a regular tree?" Or
God, Ned
and Electra's like,
is my favorite.
Just a tree.
Just a tree.
Ned was so great in this movie, and some foreshadowing, which I'll get to in a second, because, I'll mention that a little later because it's not going to end up in a great way.
Emily says that she loved the way they had Ned using magic because it potentially means that Ned could be in future movies. Was it just because he was wearing it seemed like he was wearing a ring that Doctor Strange had, but I didn't know if it was
that's the
ring that the wizards all can use. Open portals.
Yeah. So he had one. Oh my God, the scenes with what does he call her? His Lola?
Lola, yeah.
Oh my God, it was the cutest thing because it was everybody who's just, there was so much stuff going on in the kitchen, and she's just like, could you clean up the webs, please?
I love it's like she wants you to clean up the webs you just shot all over her kitchen.
Yeah.
Because she apparently has a thing, because the one thing they made Andrew do was get the cobweb out of the corner while he was up.
And I love how both Andrew and Toby, just when they showed up and they're just like, oh yeah, sorry, Lola. And I'm just like, respectful young men.
Yeah. That moment though, when they're sitting at the kitchen table after Aunt May's died, trying to find Peter, and when I first saw the portal open and I immediately knew it was Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. You can just tell the tall, lanky, the big eyes.
I was like, oh, they found Peter. Wait, he's too tall.
Yeah.
And then he jumps through, and then he takes off the mask, and you're like, oh my God, he's in the movie. This guy's a freaking liar. He's been lying for months. And then, I thought a super, super funny moment is MJ throwing the bread and the physical acting, the physical comedy of her being like, shrugging like, okay, prove it. And then he's like, you're a very mistrusting person, and I respect that. And he climbs up on the ceiling, gets the webbing, and then
I just love that he just hung there
just hung there.
Like, he's like, really?
Yeah. And then you get the line. So I guess we just keep on doing it until we find Peter, and you know exactly what's coming next. And
actually, the line was until we find the real Peter, and he turns around.
Yeah, there is like, ouch. Yeah. And then he does the thing. And my God, when I saw this man,
David ascended a few times.
The freaking kitchen, and I heard the theme. I heard the Danny Elfman theme. I was 6 years old again. It was incredible.
Can I say this about Toby? And I was slightly concerned, I guess, because he just hasn't made a movie in a long time. But I was like, when I saw him come through and I saw he wasn't in the Spider-Man outfit, I was like, oh, Toby, I hope you're not phoning this in, because so many people. No. And he didn't. He absolutely didn't. But that was like when he didn't come in the suit, I was like, oh, is this like a weird actory thing? He didn't want to put the suit back on. Yeah. And Andrew shows up in the suit and the mask. He's ready to roll as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And as they joke later in the movie, Toby's the youth pastor. That comes
it's
like, oh, great. It's just some dude.
Yeah. But this is the scene before probably one of the best scenes in the movie. And that's when they both go and see Peter on, by himself on top of the building, mourning the loss. And then they hug him and they're like, hey, there's a couple people here to see you. And then there's the shot of the both of them on top of the building. Such a great shot.
It was like,
and then
right
they climb
out of
down.
a comic book. It was like, backlit. There's the moon.
Oh yeah. And then they climb down, and then there's that conversation about loss. And then, Andrew going, I lost someone too. I lost Gwen. She was my MJ. And then talking about, after that happened, I stopped pulling punches. I got rageful. And I don't want that to happen to you. And then with Peter, he's like, the day Uncle Ben died, I wanted to hunt down the man that did it. I got what I wanted. It didn't make it any better. And then Peter says what Aunt May was saying. And then he says, with great power. And then Toby finishes off with comes great responsibility. And that moment was just so perfect. And then he's like, how'd you guys know that? That's what Uncle Ben said the day he died. Like, so good. And the thing
I listened to that scene and I'm like David screaming.
The thing I love about this movie is that it feels like as they were writing it, you had people going like, okay, don't forget to include this from Spider-Man 1. Okay, remember, in Amazing Spider-Man, this happened. You got to connect it.
Yeah.
Like they were getting and hitting all the perfect beats.
There was nobody on that movie that was like, oh, nobody will care if we do that.
Yeah.
Nobody. You get that impression with this movie that there was never a moment where they're like, oh, they won't care.
Yeah.
Like, they knew everyone would care.
Even going back to we got memes in this movie. I can just fix it. We can do I have a lot of technology at the apartment, whatever. And then Willem Dafoe, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Can we talk about Willem Dafoe's performance in this movie?
He was terrifying.
Oh my, he was so like, this man could have not even phoned in because, he's too good of an actor for that, but he could have given a good villain performance. All of these guys could have. I mean, they were brought back to be one of 5 villains in a movie,
Yeah.
Any of them could have given a decent performance and been fine, but Willem Dafoe went for it. He was like, I am going to play this like I'm playing it for an Oscar. And he did. He was so good.
We know what he did. What he played was the most interesting part about his Green Goblin in Spider-Man 1, which was the duality.
Split personality, yeah.
Yeah. That was what it focused on. They didn't care. I mean, They broke the mask in like the first 2 minutes he was there.
Great.
It wasn't about the gadgets. It wasn't about anything. Norman's deal was the split personality, and that's what he honed in on. And that's what he was so good at. And by the way, do not sleep on Willem Dafoe. I've never seen a movie where
that guy was.
I don't know if I've seen any of his other movies.
Oh God, he's made so many good movies.
There's a moment,
David or Jason, you know the rule. Just assume I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it. I was gonna say Mississippi Burning is one of his great movies, and I know you haven't seen that.
I think I have actually.
Oh really? Okay, Gene Hackman.
I don't know. Give me a second.
Not in the late 80s.
There's the moment where they're back at the apartment. They've cured Doc Ock. He is back to being Dr. Otto Octavius, and then they're trying to cure Electro, and then Norman is back there, and he's doing stuff. And then there's that silence of the spider sense, and Peter first, I thought he was sensing what was going on outside with the lizard, with J. Jonah being out there with the crew. I thought that's what he was sensing. But then he gets Norman, and it's that switch immediately with the voice, the demeanor.
They showed the security of the people coming into the apartment, when I saw Willem Dafoe come in, I was like, they didn't bring Norman, did they? Oh, by the way, Doc Ock and Electro nowhere near as dangerous as frickin' Norman. Don't bring Norman. No. Do what you need to do, and then take that back.
He accomplished what he wanted to do in Spider-Man 1, which was attacking Peter's heart.
Mm-hmm.
He killed Aunt May in this movie.
Oh God, yeah.
Something he threatened to do in the first one. It was more of a scare tactic. And he did it in this movie. And it was only he could have done it.
Yeah.
Only he could have done it. And then.
And the other thing with Willem Dafoe, this is, I mean, again, we don't need to, let's just say it's a given. He's a brilliant actor.
Yeah.
But that scene where Peter shows up at the, like, I guess what is it, the soup kitchen that May runs?
Yeah,
feast. And it's just her and Norman like sitting in the kitchen talking. And I was just like every time he was on screen, I was just nervous. I was like, oh my God, they left May alone with Norman? Like, this is.
Did you guys know that Willem Dafoe was in Finding Nemo?
Yeah, he's
Gil.
Yeah, he's the fish.
I know.
The fish trying to plan the escape.
Yeah. Nope, I just found that out, and yeah, sorry. Back to Spider-Man.
Shark bait.
Shark bait. Yeah, no, you're like, just like, I mean, Peter's like, Peter, by the way, and Peter was right about it. He's like, no, it's dangerous. You can't. And he's like, no, you have to. It was like, oh.
Aunt May made some terrible choices in this movie.
I don't think, you know what? I think we can say that because we know these characters, but she doesn't. Like, she doesn't know Norman.
And at the end of the day,
all she knows of him is he is some half-crazed guy who came in off the streets.
Honestly, she treated him as someone who was mentally ill, and as she should have, and I feel bad judging her for that, because it is like you said, because I know he's the Green Goblin, but she was trying to do what we should do,
she
and
didn't
not
know him from anything.
Not give the crazy person a lot of the care they need. But I'm just sitting there because I know what's going on, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah, and
go ahead, Jason.
No, it's just like, and you like when it like. Because I was the same way as you. I was like, oh, he's sensing the lizard rocking the van. He's sensing J. Jonah outside. And it was like, no. He can tell that Norman is turning into the Goblin.
Yeah.
Can I just say how much I love J. Jonah being in this movie again?
He's Alex Jones.
I loved it so much.
He's in his
I was
basement.
just trying to figure out, like, because I'm like, is this just this universe's J. Jonah?
Yes.
And then I'm like, yes, but I loved that he was back. I don't know what, he was my favorite part of the original trilogy.
You know what? He's different other than the hair, he's different because I always got the impression from the Raimi J. Jonah that he only hated Spider-Man because he needed to sell papers. But in this movie, it actually feels like, no, he really believes that Spider-Man is a terrible person and is a menace and murder. Like, he believes all this stuff, which kind of makes him a little scarier than the Raimi one. Because
I will say though, that speech or that monologue he gives after Aunt May's died, and he's like, chaos and calamity will always follow Spider-Man wherever he goes, and then he signs off. He says good night and God help us all. And it's like, in a way, wherever Spider-Man has been, there has been calamity and chaos, but not of his doing. He's looking at it from that standpoint.
I pose this question
Darkness
about
rises
the MCU.
in light to meet it.
I pose this question about the MCU J. Jonah. Would he have sold out Peter Parker to the Green Goblin like the Raimi one did?
The MCU J. Jonah? Oh, 100%.
He would have sold Peter Parker out for a sandwich. Let's be real here.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I think that was like, and that movie happened so early in the Raimi trilogy that you kind of gave J. Jonah a break for the rest of the movie because he had that moment where he could have said, "Oh, there's the guy right there," and he did. And this J. Jonah definitely would have. He's like, "Yeah,
he would have.
Peter Parker right there."
He would have.
This movie just made me reconsider. Because I know you're going to ask me for my ranking, so I've been thinking about that, and I loved all of this journey, guys. Being on it with you,
so good.
I don't know. I'm apparently emotional today. Let's see. Sorry, I'm still going through. So Emily has a thought that she needs to watch Daredevil, and I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Is there something I'm missing?
I felt the same way because
there's something you're missing.
Okay,
Yes.
what am I missing?
There's 3 seasons of Matt Murdock, the blind lawyer. He's Daredevil, and there's 3 seasons of that.
Oh.
On Netflix.
I was wondering because I felt like the way he was in the movie, I'm like, I'm supposed to know him, but I have no idea who the hell he is.
You've got 3 seasons of watching Matt Murdock
and
do some law and kick some ass.
And once I'll just say, if you do watch it, the hallway scene, you'll know what I'm talking about after you see the hallway scene.
Yeah,
is it like I think it's in the first season. Because you know
no, it's not gory. It's action heavy.
Yeah. Let me remind me to restart my Netflix subscription, but first I have to finish rewatching Criminal Minds. So might be a little bit.
It's been around for a while. I felt the same way because I quit. I forget why I quit watching like in the middle of the second season. Like I saw all of the Punisher stuff, and then like the second half I didn't finish it. And it was like when I was watching the movie, I was like, fuck, I gotta finish watching Daredevil. I never finished it.
that third season's so good. But anyway, we going after the scene with the 3 Spider-Man talking to each other. Now they're in the lab, and then we get a moment that I said had to be brought up, and it was, oh, what is that? Oh, it's web fluid for the web shooters. She's like,
oh my god, they just literally just.
That was such a great bit. It was such a great bit because it was because it wasn't just Tom freaking out. It was Tom.
It was Andrew.
Andrew freaking out. Like,
and then Andrew has that great moment where he's like, "How is that even possible?" And he's just like stares at his wrist.
Is it just your wrist, or does it come out of other places?
He's like, no, just my wrist.
I gotta hop off for 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay, no worries. And then you get the great moment, the great callback to Spider-Man 2. Where they're waiting for everything to happen. There's the great banter and the leaked image that ended up being real of Andrew on the scaffolding. Yeah. That now we know there are a lot of leaks in this movie that ended up being true.
There's a lot though that I heard that ended up not being true. And
which is good. But they're talking, and then you get the great callback to the whole "my back" scene in Spider-Man 2, which I thought was such a great touch.
That little scene between Andrew and Toby was one of my favorites in the movie, and not just because it was 2 Spider-Men talking to each other, but just like, I mean, there was a lot of fan stuff in there. There's a lot like the back thing, and the whole thing where Toby's like, no. You're amazing.
Yeah, you're amazing. Yeah,
and it was like just like little things like that I just I loved the camaraderie of the 3 of them, and I felt like, again, I'm not trying to build anybody up and tear anybody down. I felt like Andrew Garfield was having the best time. He was
having a blast.
He was living his best Spider-Man life. He was just like, no, it's cool. I'll be in the costume the whole time. I'll do it the whole time.
And
Emily's thought on this was that Andrew Garfield stole the last half of the movie. She has no complaints. He's the Hayden Christensen of this franchise and deserves the world because he got so much crap. But now everybody realizes how brilliant he is. But Emily is feeling vindicated right now.
I don't think he got a lot of. I think everybody who saw those movies, and us included, we never thought Andrew Garfield was the problem with those 2 amazing.
Yeah, I never thought he was the problem.
He was never the problem. He was a really good Spider-Man in some subpar scenes and subpar films.
That's why I like
with him.
Yeah, that's why I like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm starting to like it more than the first one because there's more Spider-Man stuff. I mean, if we get Felicia Hardy at some point, that'd be great. But there's more Spider-Man centric stuff. There's more interactions with the villains. There's more. There's just more.
One thing I said this the one thing I love about the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is I love his costume. There's no explanation for it. He just has a better costume.
He just has it.
With big eyes.
Yeah,
I don't care
just has it.
Why he does it or he made it himself. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, and you don't need an explanation.
Yeah.
These Spider-Men are going to be like, wait, you have you have resources and support from the Avengers? I made my costume.
By the way,
another great joke.
That was my favorite joke in the whole thing. When they're
Guys,
all
I know how to work as a team. I was in the Avengers. That's great.
What is that? And then Andrew's like, were you in a band? Were you in a band? Are the Avengers a band?
They're just
so those good
friends who it's our podcast. We don't understand what Hannah's doing as a firefighter, but if she tells us and she's excited about something, we're like, we're gonna hype you up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
And then I love that at the end of it, when they're at the end of like the little bit, Toby's like, how is this helping?
Yeah, he had some great comedic moments in this movie, man. Like, he was so good. And I'll tell you, right after they're trying to fight Sandman and nothing's working, they have that moment. And then, they're like, all right, Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3. And then he's just like, wait, I love you guys. And then they're like, thank you. But then they put on the masks, jump out, and there's that hero shot. I never thought I would see that ever in my life.
Of them? Oh, yeah.
The three of them swinging, the three of them just being a team. Like, it was as so a lot of people on Twitter were saying, it was a fever dream. I never thought I would see that in my life. And then
it's something about half of this movie. All I went was, oh my God, David's freaking out.
I was screaming so much. And then
please tell me you went with someone and they just had to deal with you grabbing their arm the entire movie.
I went with my parents. They wanted to go see it. So I went with the both of them. And me and my dad, we've seen every Marvel movie, almost every Marvel movie at the premiere date.
That's so cute.
We saw it, and I know we skipped over the whole Doctor Strange and Peter fight scene. The reason I'm not touching on it is because the reason I'm not touching on it really is just because I always thought he was going to fight an evil Doctor Strange at that moment, but it's just the two of them. Doctor Strange is like,
bit of a tiff.
We need to save him. Yeah, he's like, we don't need to save him. Just send him back. And then Peter's like, no, I want to try and cure him. They fight. Peter beats him with math, and then he's hanging over the Grand Canyon for 12 hours. Then he comes in the movie later.
I love Doctor Strange. I loved Doctor Strange in this movie. I loved the fact that his house was snowing.
He's the new Tony Stark in a way.
Well, I think what everybody forgets about Doctor Strange, and he made it very clear in Infinity War, and he made it very clear in Doctor Strange, his job is to protect reality. And if people have to, at best, not live for that to be achieved, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Whereas Peter is all heart on his, I would just say on his sleeve, but it's kind of all over his body. He's just like, no. If we send these guys, we can't send these guys back to die. That is a very Peter Parker, very Spider-Man thing.
And speaking of not letting somebody die, probably one of the best moments of the movie. They've cured Electro. They've cured. Oh wait, I have to mention this because this is the moment that I fucking cried. When Andrew cures Electro, and they have the moment, and then he's like, I
love that moment.
I saw you, the suit. You're helping poor people from New York. I just thought you were black. And he's like, oh man, I'm sorry. And then he's like, I'm just waiting for a black Spider-Man, aka Miles Morales. He's coming. And you get the Amazing Spider-Man theme. Mm-hmm. You get the theme playing in the background. And then with Toby, he sees Doc Ock, and Doc Ock again says, the power of the sun in the palm of my hand, like he says in Spider-Man 2.
The arc reactor.
Yeah. And then you get that moment between them. And this is the moment that now when I think about it, considering what somebody said, it makes me tear up because he's like, Peter, you're all grown up. How are you? And it's like, you can also see that as he's talking to the audience that saw these movies in the early 2000s. And he's like, you guys are all grown up. Like, you're in your 20s now watching this movie, watching us on screen again. And I'm like,
it's like,
ugh.
Have you seen the thing that Steve from Blue's Clues recorded?
Yes.
Did you also cry like a baby?
Yes.
Because I did.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that thing, and it's just God, all of that. Doc Ock, like, I know we've talked a lot about the Green Goblin, but I didn't have Doc Ock turns first and helps Peter Parker on my card.
I'm so
But
glad
because
it
I
happened
never
though.
thought it was the chip making him evil. I thought he just lost his goddamn
Oh
mind.
no, I always knew it was the chip.
No, it's
I
the
always
chip
knew it
because
was the chip.
that's what he fights at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
He's fighting those things at the end.
Yeah.
By the way, that was when I thought everybody was going to, because when you put everybody in Happy's condo, that they were all going to turn on him at some point. Like you knew that was going to happen. I thought they were all going to be convinced that he had killed Doc Ock because it took a long time.
Yeah, I was waiting. I was like, oh no. Yeah. Yeah.
Because at that point they're like, every man for himself. He just killed Doc Ock.
Yeah. And then after that moment where he and Peter have that exchange with it's how are you? And he's like trying to do better, which is what he told Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Which again, the attention to detail was immaculate in this movie. But then you hear Goblin, and then Goblin comes in, and then the Statue of Liberty,
it's Toby that looks
shield.
First.
Yeah,
Toby hears it, and
Toby hears it
first.
And then you see the shield come down. MJ falls. Tom Holland's Peter's gonna go get her. He gets knocked off by the glider, and then the moment that I was hoping happens. Andrew Garfield gets his redemption and saves MJ.
Finish your thing because I have a rant.
Oh, no. I was just gonna say they used the same camera shots when he lands. It's the same shot from the bottom, looking at his face, that they use when he looks at Gwen. And they mirrored both moments.
I needed to cry today, David.
They mirrored both moments. It was so great.
Before I did my rant, did you guys see in the Discord when my niece and nephew recreating Gwen Stacy's death?
Yes.
Probably the funniest thing I saw all day. This is my rant about fan service, and I want to use that moment with MJ and Andrew as an example, because fan service can be good, and because what the difference is, and I discovered it watching this movie and thinking about it later. The difference between good fan service and bad fan service is this: good fan service, bad fan service is it's something that means something happens in the movie that means something to the audience and means nothing to the characters. And then good is something that means something to the audience and also means something to the characters. So you take something like The Rise of Skywalker, where Chewbacca gets the medal. No one but the fans have been talking about that for like 40 something years. There's no line in that movie where like Chewie's sad because he never got a medal. Like that was purely for the fans, and it meant nothing to the characters. In this movie, I mean, and this is why it worked. This is why the fan service in that moment works. It's not that he catches what sells it is not that he catches her. It's that when he lands, he asks.
It's the reaction. Are you okay?
It's MJ asking him if he's okay.
Yeah.
That's what sells it. That's what makes it important to the characters and not just important to the audience. It's her asking him if he's okay, and him sort of fighting the tears and going, yeah.
Such a great emoter.
Emily wanted us to know that she predicted that scene, but it still broke her. And I agree.
For me, what broke it was her asking him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's standard for the hero when they catch somebody to go, "Are you okay?" But for her to ask him, having heard the story because I forgot, she heard the story on the roof where he says, "Gwen was my MJ," which had to register with her.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he catches her, "Are you okay?" Yeah. It was like you felt the redemption that Andrew got by the audience was the same one that Peter Parker got in the movie. That sense of redemption, that sense of I fixed that mistake, and it's in a way.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought was so beautiful about this movie. And screw those people that are like good fan service. I am all for it. It is something that affects the characters within the movie. I'm all for it. If it's just something like, look over there, remember that from that movie? Screw that. I don't care about any more of that fan service. And there was a little bit of that in this, but not as much as the stuff that meant something to the characters within the movie that you're supposed to care about. So that's my rant.
Yeah. It was
a lot.
This movie was so good. And now we get to the point where Peter is about to turn to the dark side because he has Green Goblin on the shield and he's not pulling his punches anymore.
No, he is not.
Which is what Andrew's Peter was talking about.
And they had such a brutal, it was a brutal fight.
Oh, back at where he's punching Goblin and he's just laughing at him, smiling. Yeah. That was terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was scary. And then now it's the fight again, but Peter's totally in control. And then he's grabs the glider and he's going to kill him.
Yeah.
And then Toby comes in and he's holding the glider the same way he held the glider when Goblin was going to hit him with it. The same way.
Yeah.
And then he gets him to put it down and then Toby gets stabbed. I don't know if I've ever said no in a movie before when something happened, but I'm sitting there. He gets in, I'm like, no. And then for about 30 seconds, I was like, I swear to God, if you brought these people into this movie to kill one of them, this is going to turn into episode 9 for me. But no, he's like, I've been stabbed before. I'm fine. I was like, thank God.
And normally in a Marvel movie, I don't necessarily, but some people get mad when something dramatic happens. They kind of laugh it off. And they did that with this, but it still kind of worked. It's like, no, it's okay. I've been stabbed before.
Yeah, which he has been stabbed before.
Yeah. And then the end, the last scene where he's like, you're in so much pain. Like, oh yeah.
He's like, oh yeah. And then when he's on the ground and then you see the earth basically start to shatter and having these people come in, he looks at me, he's like, is that real or am I dying? He's like, no, that's real.
No, that's real. That's real.
And then we get the big moment. How can I stop this? You can't stop me. He's like, what if we made a spell where everyone forgot who I was? It's like, yeah, that will work. But then
everybody will forget who you were.
Yeah, but Strange says it where he's like, all of us who love you. He says us, and he catches himself and he starts tearing up because Strange has grown to, love Peter. After everything that's happened.
He didn't agree with everybody, but I think he really respected it.
Yeah, especially after he's like, oh shit, you actually did it. Like, you cured everybody.
Yeah.
And then, the spell is he has that conversation with MJ, and she's like, no, I don't want to forget you. Like, what are you talking about? There's got to be something we can do. And then, no, there isn't. This is the only way. He hugs Ned. He kisses MJ. She says, I love you.
I might have lost it about here.
She's like, tell me when you see me again. And he's like,
okay. Yeah, because she said, if you don't, I'm going to figure it out like I did the last time.
Yeah. And then, Andrew, all these people go back to their universes. And I want to touch on that point at the very end because I have questions. So everybody goes back. And now we are with Peter post spell. He goes to see Aunt May. Happy's there again. He's like, hey, how do you know her? Oh, through Spider-Man. Me too. And he's like, I lost a friend of mine recently, and it kind of feels like this. And then he says the same thing, and they go their separate ways. And then he goes to the coffee shop where MJ works. Again, she doesn't know who he is. And he's going to tell her that whole thing he's got written down on the paper, but then he sees the Band-Aid. And he's reminded, if she knows who I am, if she knows I'm Spider-Man, all of this stuff will just keep on happening. Their lives will not be as good as they are right now. And so he's just like, all right, see you around.
Emily and I agreed. And her exact words were at the ending where he goes to see MJ and decides not to reintroduce himself to her broke my fucking heart.
Yeah, it was tough, but
yeah,
you understand it.
And he's like, I can't do it to Ned either. I can't.
Yeah, no, I can't. You can't. And then he goes, he's alone. He's moving into that apartment, which I really hope we have another Mr. Dickovich.
I was waiting
because I was waiting to hear. I was waiting for Rent.
Mr. Rent. Or that it would be the same apartment from Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, and then he gets the little Palpatine Lego, and he's making a suit, and he crawls out of the window with the new suit.
And he had a sewing machine, which I thought were
he had a sewing machine. He made the suit. He's going around swinging
stretch knits
in the new suit.
Stretch knits.
And then that's the end of the movie. And then obviously post-credit scenes, Multiverse of Madness trailer, yada 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 yada, whatever.
Emily's last thoughts. Would have liked to see Andrew at least mention his Harry, but I don't know. Seems like they wanted to wipe that from our memories. Where is Miles Morales? I need all the MJs and Spider-Gwen pronto. And who is going to be Venomed?
I don't know.
Topher
Grace is coming back.
I will say this. Miles Morales does exist in the MCU.
Yeah. He's already got Donald Glover's his uncle.
Yeah, Donald Glover's his uncle, and he mentioned.
Okay, Donald Glover would be the coolest uncle ever. Just saying.
He probably is the coolest uncle ever. There was one thing. Honestly, the one thing I really want to touch on real quick, if we can go back to something, is the beginning. The beginning.
It was crazy.
The first 10 minutes of the movie was
so fast.
Very good. It was so good, and so much was happening, and I'm so glad we saw Far From Home a couple weeks ago. But even still, I'm like, when Peter shows back up at the apartment, he's trying to shut all the windows.
Yeah.
I was like, I forgot Happy and May broke up.
Yeah, that was really good. That was really fun.
And then she's like, he's a little clingy, and I think that
I loved Happy's voicemail to Peter later, where it was like, hey, yeah, you have a bunch of people in my apartment. Is that guy made out of mud? Peter, call me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that whole beginning part was just so insane.
Yeah.
I have a feeling when I see it again, I'll have a little bit more nitpicks, but at this point, I don't really, there's nothing I think everything is, I think probably my only nitpick is that the murder charges against Peter went because they harped on them so much, those first 20 minutes, that when they went away because Matt Murdock's a great lawyer. It just was like, huh? Okay, well, I mean, we didn't need a prolonged Peter Parker on trial scene, but
yeah,
I would love.
But they had just made
MCU.
Real slow.
But they had just made a big deal out of it. They were threatening May and threatening Ned and threatening MJ, and then it just kind of disappeared. And then Happy's the one that might go to prison.
Yeah, that was so funny.
MJ being the difference between MJ and Ned in interrogation.
Yeah.
Funniest thing, because MJ's like, no, I know my rights, and
then Ned's saying everything, and he's like, can my words be stricken from the record? No, they can't.
Oh, but real quick, is her last name Jones or Watson? Because they call her Watson, and she's like, I don't go by that.
It's Michelle Jones Watson.
Okay.
Yeah. But here's my theory and also question. So first I'll go with the question.
Okay. I'll allow it.
There's in Endgame they talk about this thing of branch realities. Sorcerer Supreme is like, if you don't return these stones where you got them, you're going to create a branch reality, and that's going to mess everything up. At the end of Loki, what happens with He Who Remains at the Citadel are branch realities. So when these villains go back to their universes at the moments, at least for Doc Ock and Goblin specifically, when they go back, they're cured. And they're cured at the moment they die. So if they're going back and they are like, okay, wait, Peter, I'm good. And obviously Peter's not trying to kill either of them in either moment. He's trying to save them and save, the city and the progress. What happens to their story going forward? Because it has to be a branched reality, because if they're going back cured, the ending of Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 as a whole doesn't even happen.
Well, I think Spider-Man 2 still happens. Because
No, right, it happens, but
Doc Ock doesn't die because he's fighting Spider-Man. He dies because he's trying to stop that machine from blowing up New York.
However,
so he'll still die
unless Peter saves him from the water.
Well, maybe. Yeah.
It made me think.
Peter could have saved him from the water anyway.
Well, he was also saving MJ.
Yeah.
And I think Doc Ock was saying, he's like, "Oh, I'll do it. I won't die a monster," is what he says. Right. So, but also with Norman would be the one that should live, because the only thing killing him is really himself with the glider.
Yeah.
And it would kind of it would be weird to go through all of this to cure them if one of them even die. It just wouldn't make sense to me.
I still think Doc Ock dies.
I was going to say, I think the whole thing is that Peter gave him a chance. But my thing is the idea, so we're going back to Harry Potter, sorry. The idea that terrible things happen if you mess with time. They're not exactly messing with time because they're alternate universes, but they're pulling people in from different, and they're changing timelines. And it's like
the world between worlds in a way.
Still haven't gotten there. Working on it.
You'll see.
I know. I will one day finish Star Wars Rebels, and it will be a monumentous occasion.
You'll see.
But also the end of this movie reminded me. Have you guys seen Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them?
I saw the first one.
The first one, but at the end when they made him, they made Jacob forget everything, and then Queenie goes to the bakery to see him.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
And that breaks my heart.
It was a really, really smart way, the way they did everything. It was a 3-part origin story for Spider-Man, and it was really great. And
you end the movie with him as the Spider-Man that he would be. This is the one thing and I didn't realize this till I was on my way home, that the Tom Holland Spider-Man is as old as Andrew and Tobey were at the end of their first movies. Because in their second movies, they go off into college, and he just
graduated. He's going into MIT.
High school. Yeah, that happens in the first act of Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
Did he officially graduate?
I don't know. He's got that GED book.
It's on the GED
book. That's what I was
book,
thinking. Yeah. He probably decided to not go back to school.
Yeah,
I think he gets a job as a photographer for the Google.
I wonder if he is desperate for a job, and because now nobody knows that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, if he's like, you know what, I know this guy hates me, but maybe J. Jonah needs a social media guy, and I'll do it for Spider-Man. That would be kind of funny. I would watch that. But I have a theory.
Okay, I'm here for your theory.
Okay.
And this is a theory of how Andrew Garfield will be back as the Sonyverse Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
And here it is. So in Morbius, we get the Oscorp building, we get the Daily Bugle, and we get the Spider-Man picture on the side of a building and it's spray painted murder on it. What does Andrew talk about in the movie? I stopped pulling my punches, became rageful, I got bitter. And when you pull your punches as a superhero, I feel like you're probably going to kill some people, or at least kill somebody.
When you don't,
and maybe,
When you don't pull your punches,
right? When you don't pull your punches,
yeah.
Maybe that happened, and also obviously the Oscorp building. And
is it the Oscorp building from Spider-Man: The Amazing Spider-Man?
The Amazing Spider-Man 2, yeah, or The Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
But also I wonder if when some of these characters were going back to their universes, here's a very interesting explanation that I think would work really well, explaining why Michael Keaton is in Morbius. Because Michael Keaton knew Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And that's not a character we saw in No Way Home, but you would assume he would have been one of them.
Well, he's in prison.
He's in prison, but it doesn't really matter where anybody was. they're just going to get transported to, if they made it through.
Yeah.
So let's assume he made it through.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to assume that Strange was able to keep a lot of people out, and that maybe it was just these 7 people that got
7 people that they found.
Yeah. Because Venom comes through, but he's like off on some.
He's somewhere else.
Island. So
yeah.
Also, Michael Keaton wouldn't be in a different universe. He'd be in Tom Holland's universe.
Here's my thing.
Okay. I'm with you.
What if, because we're going into the multiverse of madness, I wonder if the spell brought some people back to where they were, but others kind of got left maybe where they didn't belong. And that would kind of explain why Michael Keaton would be in Morbius, in a universe where he's not really supposed to be there. Unless it's a variant and it's just a different
where they know what Venom is.
Yeah,
because I clearly we all saw the Morbius trailer before Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, they were all there. So I was thinking about that. Like, that would be really interesting if some of these people were trying to be brought back, but just ended up somewhere else. I wonder what could have happened there. Because I wonder if these events are taking place at the same time as the end of Loki with these branched realities, or if it's a little after, or a little before. I don't know. But those are my 2 theories.
That was a question I initially had, and I remember there was a time jump within the movie.
Yeah.
Because it starts at the beginning of, because at first I was like, this all happened within a couple of days of Far From Home, but no, there's a big time jump. Actually, there's 2 time jumps in the movie. There's the one, I guess, when they start school again. And then all the charges are dropped, and then
that would only be like a couple weeks, though, maybe a couple months, because Far From Home was.
But there's also a time jump between when they send their letters off and get their letters back. And then now all the events, all like the big action events, those all happen in a couple days. But then there's another time jump after that because it's Christmas. And I don't think it was Christmas when. Well, I'm trying to remember. When he yells at MJ to take down the Halloween decorations, that means it's November at least.
Probably.
Yeah, at least.
So,
I think.
Yeah, because that would be about when you would be getting your first college letters. Is early November.
Yeah.
So
I think they're joining up with Hawkeye.
Could be.
I think Hawkeye and No Way Home. So Hawkeye takes place during Christmas. And I think it would match up perfectly for Peter to be at this stage of his life.
Well, that you saw the Rogers billboards all over.
Yeah. And it would match up perfectly. And the Hawkeye finale is on Wednesday. And I don't think it's a coincidence to just have it,
Well, they're connected
it
because
just feels so connected right now, especially.
The villain that they showed at the very end of the last episode of Hawkeye is in Daredevil.
Yep.
Matt Murdock is in Daredevil, and he was in No Way Home. So.
Yep. I'm telling you.
We're going to have the board of multiverses behind us all while we record.
Oh no, I don't have it up here.
Oh, that's how I plan things, is I put stuff on walls. So
good. I
gotta buy a whiteboard for my new office. Hey, remind me after we're done recording to show you guys the calendar I bought for my new my cubicle, because I get my own space at my new office anyway.
Heck yeah.
But yeah.
I could talk about this movie forever, but
are we ready for final thoughts and a ranking?
Yeah, yes. I was trying to think if there's anything that we didn't touch on. I know it said there was something we kind of glanced over, but
okay.
So I'll ask. I could talk about the interactions between the 3 of them. I thought that scene in the lab, all those scenes in the lab,
so good,
were fantastic.
I want you guys to know that Ned in the comics does turn bad and goes after Peter.
Yeah.
No.
In the comics, but I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're gonna go with that story, but he does turn bad.
Yeah, but I did love that. I did love that moment because when he's talking to Toby, he's like, "Yeah, he died in my arms when he tried to kill me." And
he's just
the look on Ned's face is like one of just sheer terror. I mean, it's just like, And then even Andrew Garfield kind of looks over and is like, "Oh man!" Like,
Yeah.
But every little moment where they had to,
yeah, they were just, and my favorite thing was that nobody was trying to one up the other.
No,
there was no like fighting but amongst the Spider-Man. Like once they were all together, they were like, man, I love you guys.
It would be like the coolest it's like if you meet 3 versions of you, wouldn't that be the coolest thing?
And then when he's like, oh, I always wanted brothers, I was like, man.
Yeah.
You had to do that, and it just hurt.
Actually, when I thought one of them was going to die, I was mostly worried it was going to be Andrew. I was more worried he was going to die.
I thought it was going to be Toby.
Well, when he got stabbed, I was like, oh.
I just thought it was going to be, if anybody, it might be Toby because he's the oldest, so he's the least likely to return again.
Yeah.
But I liked the whole him sort of taking on the sort of senior biggest brother of the 3 of them. I love that sort of his.
He was the youth pastor.
That was just kind of his role,
and then
like that one part where Andrew's like, he's complaining about his back. He's like, "Let me crack your back," and he's like, Yeah.
That was such a great moment because I watched Spider-Man 2 after, and then when he hits the card, he's like, "My back! Oh, my back!" And
I love that joke is now like 17 years old, and that it's all based on contract negotiations for Tobey Maguire. Like, I just think that's the greatest thing, and that it made it into this movie. I thought was great. By the way, the scene where Electro says he thought that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man would be black, that was also based on a petition at the time to cast Donald Glover as the new Spider-Man in the Amazing Spider-Man movie.
Which he did end up playing Miles Morales in the animated show. Yeah. Which was he voiced him.
Actually, I'm and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's why Miles Morales was actually created, because he's a relatively new character. He might have been from like 2012, which I know is now almost 10 years, but I think that was where the character came from. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly where.
I didn't like that. It's okay. Did you know that we're now as far from the release of the Phantom Menace as Phantom Menace was from the original Star Wars? Because I read that the other day and then I had to go lie down.
He was created in 2011. First appearance was in Ultimate Fallout.
So yeah, I mean, they would have made the Amazing Spider-Man in 2011, 2010. So yeah, that lines up. That's like an urban legend. I don't know if that necessarily is true, but
yeah. But anyway, guys,
I will say over under of seeing a live action Miles Morales in, let's say, the next 5 years, maybe even less.
Yeah, that's pretty high. That's safe bet.
I cannot wait to watch Spider-Verse. Everybody keeps telling me how good it is, and really good. I'm just waiting for it. When Emily can watch it, we're watching it.
Yeah. Really
Isn't it on Netflix? Am I gonna have to read?
It's on Hulu.
I was gonna say Ethan will have it on his Vudu. Never mind.
Yeah. It's on Hulu too, just in case. But what are our final thoughts on this?
Okay, let me read you Emily's final thoughts. Then we can go through and I'll hit mine. I guess my question, as we're going into final thoughts, mine, not Emily's, is would you see this? Are you going to see this movie again? Emily says it was all chef's kiss, 5 stars, loved it. Need to watch it 50 more times because the action scenes were intense.
Okay.
My thoughts were, I think I'm going to go. I'm sorry?
So I don't disagree with that at the slightest. So.
Neither do I. I might go see a Marvel movie in theaters twice. Guys, I don't know who I am anymore.
I'm mostly curious of your reaction, Rachel, because you hadn't been watching these for the last 20 years. And so over the last, 10 weeks, 8 weeks, I
feel like I might have, and this sounds bad, like David, don't take this the wrong way, but anybody other than like maybe David, feel like I almost appreciated it the most because I was here for all of these in such a short period of time. So I'm like, I understood that reference. You're I was ready.
You're Captain America.
So ready.
You're Captain America in the Avengers.
I was waiting. I ordered a Spider-Man t-shirt and I'm gonna wear it.
Yeah, you did.
And I blame David.
As you should.
He seduced me to the dark side.
Here's the next thing you need to do. You need to get all the movies.
I have them on my friend's Vudu.
No, physical copies. Got to get the Blu-rays.
What is it, like 2010?
Yeah.
This is the reason I'm getting the
100%.
physical copy of No Way Home, is because I want to see all.
I want to see the special
behind
features.
the scenes.
Yep.
I want to see the behind the scenes thing. They're going to have about making the suits for Andrew and Toby. They're going to have a big thing on it.
And the director's commentary.
If I decide to
know her thought
cosplay a
process.
Spider-Man character, y'all will know I officially lost my marbles.
I think you might after Spider-Verse.
I was going to say, I kind of liked the look of Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really look good in spandex. Not my thing.
You're going to cosplay Spider-Man. You're going to be comfortable with spandex.
Yeah.
Nope.
Unless you do the Scarlet Spider, then that one he's got like a vest.
I like to be able to breathe, and nobody wants to see it. Anyway, I loved this movie. I'm probably going to go see it again. I'm trying to decide if it's worth it to go see it in IMAX.
Yes, it is.
I would be going to see it with some friends, but they could only go on Wednesday, and I have a Christmas party on Wednesday. So they got it switched because I'd already seen it. So my vote didn't count.
I see. Jason, what are your thoughts?
I loved it. Any negative things I have to say about it are nitpicks. I can nitpick all of my favorite movies. It sort of cemented for me, and I know you won't like this, David, Tom Holland as my favorite Spider-Man.
I can't decide between Tom and Andrew.
I love them all.
By the way,
I love them all.
This movie is like the Amazing Spider-Man 3 that I think we all want.
I want an Amazing Spider-Man 3 still.
And it was just such a good. Rarely is the third movie in any. Well, I say that, and I love Return of the Jedi. I take that back. I also love Revenge of the Sith, and that's the third in that. But usually at this point, they're sort of like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just this one didn't just. It felt fresh, even though it had so much stuff that it was bringing in from other stuff. It felt like it was made by people who knew fans were going to scrutinize everything, so they just let's make it so they not only can they not scrutinize it, but that it makes sense for the story. And I felt like that it was, my sort of critical thing of that is that, no, not critical in a bad way, but just sort of as a critic, which I feel like I am sometimes, that they were like, let's just make sure that this stays Peter Parker's story, because they very easily could have made, him just a bit player in his own movie. And let's have the story make sense. Yeah. And you can poke holes in some of it, but there's nothing in there where you're just like, wait, what? We never had any of those moments. Yeah. As opposed to the end of another franchise that came out 2 years ago. And it also felt like a nice way to sort of wrap up. If they don't do it, like if they didn't make another, and I would be heartbroken if they didn't make another Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, this is such a fantastic way to go out. Yeah. I wouldn't be upset about it. I hope they do. But because mostly, and we didn't talk about this, I love the new suit. Like I wanted to see more of the new suit. I wrote in the Discord,
at some point, that suit will be on my body in some way, shape, or form.
David, you're gonna run out of skin, baby. You're gonna run out of skin.
That suit was it is beautiful. That was an awesome suit.
We finally
got to see Spider-Man and swinging around New York, which we really didn't get to see a lot of in the first two movies. And the whole it really harkens back to the Tobey and Andrew movies, which always ended with him swinging around New York, except for Spider-Man 3 because it's a dumpster fire. But
and we got a scene in a graveyard too.
We did get a scene in a graveyard. Oh, so many tropes. But yeah.
Okay, David, you got 5 minutes to give your wrapped up thoughts on this movie.
Yes.
Sorry, Jason, did you have last ones?
No. I really can't think of anything else.
I was just going to give David a time limit.
Oh yeah, he could go another hour and a half.
Well, I've been waiting. It's been 20 years since I saw my favorite Spider-Man on screen. And I am extremely happy that there are 3 actors who have portrayed Spider-Man, and all three of them have done such an amazing job. And I'm particularly happy that this movie did not pit any of the characters against each other in a way where they just had to prove they were the best Spider-Man. They all showcased their strengths. They all did what they know to do best. But as a movie, this is what every Spider-Man fan dreams of. Any superhero movie fan dreams of. You want to see your favorite characters team up. And in this case, it was your three Spider-Men teaming up, fighting all of these villains that have impacted their own respective stories. And it was perfect. Like, are there things in this movie that if I had looked at it really closely, I would have been like, I wish they would have done this differently? Sure. But to me, this is a perfect movie. This is everything I wanted. It exceeded my expectations. And they used Danny Elfman's music. They used James Horner's music. They incorporated all these different things in the perfect way that I don't think it could have been done better. And I will watch this movie for the rest of time. It's just, I mean, I'm finishing up my Spider-Man half sleeve in a few weeks. And I had this idea back in July. I'm going to add Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. And now I can do it knowing that it actually happened, which makes it even cooler. So, yeah, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, 100 out of 100. Like, it's my favorite movie of all time.
Two things real quick off of what you just said. One, I so appreciated that they didn't do the Avengers thing, because this movie is a lot like the first Avengers, where you watch it, you're like, I never thought this would ever happen, where we'd have all the heroes come together. And I will admit that too. I never thought we would have all three Spider-Man in one movie. And they didn't do the thing that they did in the Avengers, where it's like, you're a superhero, I'm a superhero. Let's fight to see who's the best superhero. Like, they didn't do that in this. They were all just like, how's it going? How's it going? The most tense it got was when Tom was like, I'm sending you both back. You know, that was about the most tense it got. And my other question is, David, had this been almost the exact same movie, but Toby and Andrew not been in it, would it still? Would you have been upset, or would you? Maybe like an 8. Like if the other two Spider-Man had come through the portals and they had just been Tom Holland, and he had to play all three roles or something like that. Well, that's actually different than them not being in it. Than there being.
I would have been right. I would have been a tiny bit disappointed, but I went into this movie saying, "Look, Andrew Garfield has said repeatedly, I'm not in this movie." And
he's a lying liar that keeps lying.
He's a lying liar.
And if he's not in it, I have nobody to blame but myself, believing he was in it, because he's been telling me for months he's not in the movie. So I was going in with that, but once I saw them go through that portal,
DMing him, "Are you in this movie, Andrew?"
Yeah, right.
Poor guy. He's just trying to promote Tick Tick Boom, and everybody wants to talk about
poor
Spider-Man.
Guy. He had like 3 movies coming out this past year, and they're like, "Are you in Spider-Man?" He's like,
but I mean, even if they weren't in it, I still think this would be my favorite MCU movie, just based on the story, based on the ending, and based on the villains themselves. It was strong, and just their addition to it elevated it to a whole other level.
Do you feel like I felt like that and this movie has the benefit of hindsight, but I felt like they fixed a lot of things that were problems with the villains in the other movies. It felt like that they were all sharing the same narrative. I felt like it was just kind of Kevin Feige going, "See, this is how I would have done it," and then he's like, "Here's my Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, as opposed to what you did." Which of course Sam Raimi's directing the next Doctor Strange, which I thought was a weird poetry that the end credit scene is the trailer for a movie directed by the guy who directed the first Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So,
I have a sneaking suspicion that we didn't see the end of these of Toby and Andrew. I have this feeling.
I think probably not.
If one of y'all sees the Doctor Strange post-credit scene leaked on the internet somewhere, can you send it to me? Because I did leave because I was running late for recording the other night.
I'll send it to you. You got to watch WandaVision though.
I will get there. Dude, do you know how many
watch
movies I've
WandaVision.
watched on your orders in the past
Not
6
enough.
weeks?
Not enough.
Okay, look, this will never be my favorite MCU movie, but it might crack the top 5, which, I mean, if you've only seen 8 of them, that's not a lot, but sorry,
Fair.
Captain Marvel still wins. But can we, I know we're about to end, but I forgot to talk about something I wanted to talk about. Can we talk about the score? David talked about the fact that they sampled the other Spider-Man themes, but my man went hard for this score, and I loved it.
Shield of Pain, favorite track.
I'm sorry?
Shield of Pain, my favorite track, because it incorporates both the Horner and Elfman themes in that track.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I will have to
some people posted just that on YouTube, and I think I saw it was on iTunes. It was better than it was selling better than the other ones, and I was just sort of I didn't know where it was from. I didn't know.
This also sounds. If John Williams scored a Spider-Man movie, this is what it would sound like.
It really does. They have he and Michael Giacchino have a really similar style, but they're different enough to make it work.
Yeah. But yeah, the music was incredible. I loved it.
All right, so rankings. I got to pull out my letterbox.
I have mine. I have mine written down.
Yeah,
I have mine and Emily's. Do you want me to give Emily's first, and then we can swing back around to me?
Yeah.
Okay, Emily's rankings. Number 1, No Way Home. Number 2, Spider-Man. Number 3, Homecoming. Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man, Far From Home, Spider-Man 3.
Okay. She didn't put it into the Spider-Verse in there?
No, because we haven't watched it yet.
Oh, that's right.
Which, just in case anybody's wondering why we have left Into the Spider-Verse out, we are all busy with it being close to Christmas. And so we are waiting until Emily can watch it with us, since it is her favorite.
Well, we know where her top one is.
Oh my God. The first track on the soundtrack is called Intro to Fake News.
Yeah, it's funny.
Some of these, the tracks Michael Giacchino did for Jurassic World, they all have funny track names too.
I think he does it for almost all of them except Rogue One.
There's no way to make that funny.
It's also Star Wars. I don't think he would have done it if he scored Force Awakens. Yeah. I think that's probably just the way it is with him. But Rachel, what's your list?
Okay. This has changed, just so you know. I literally scrambled them since last time because I was feeling a different way. These are all of mine are one watch, so things might move around. This is your disclaimer. No Way Home, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Homecoming, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Far From Home, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3.
It's a travesty of Spider-Man 2 is that far down.
I don't know why I didn't connect with it. I just didn't. It was a great movie. It just didn't hit me like the other ones did.
That's okay. Still has the best line of any Marvel movie.
The one
he humiliated me by touching me.
That's going to be in David's tattoo.
I'm curious what my list will be when I watch this again in a couple of months. But right now, as of today, number 1 is No Way Home, then Spider-Man 2, which I was surprised at, but the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? If I was going to throw one on at this point, I would throw on No Way Home, just because it's just got so much in it. So Spider-Man 2, Homecoming, Spider-Man 1. This one might change and fall farther down the list. Far From Home, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3. I know we talked about it last time. I'm really surprised at how much in retrospect I don't like, but just am not as excited about Far From Home as I think I was.
It's because
it might move down. It might move down. It won't hit. It probably won't hit below Amazing Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3, but there's an argument to be made about the Amazing Spider-Man being better than Far From Home. So,
yeah.
But surprised, and I thought long and hard, I was like, is a movie I saw on Sunday really better than one I really liked for 17 years? And I'm like, yeah, I think at this point, yeah, we'll check back in a couple of months and see how I feel. But right now, yeah.
All right. So.
Okay, David, I'm really eager to hear what you feel.
All right. So number 1, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 2,
I didn't know if it was gonna win out or not.
100%. Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man, Spider-Man Homecoming, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Far From Home, The Amazing Spider-Man, and Spider-Man 3.
Well, we have certain consistencies in all of our lists.
But let me say,
and it's Far From Home and it's Spider-Man 3.
After watching No Way Home, I love all of these movies. This is the order of which I would put them on TV. If all of them were on, this is the order I would watch them.
Well, it's funny because I think in and of itself, Far From Home is not a bad movie. I mean, it's not a bad movie like Spider-Man.
No, it's not a bad movie at all. I want Spider-Man to be in New York.
Yeah.
I want Spider-Man to be in New York, not in Europe. That's just not.
I loved the story. It's just not as, I don't know. Like the thing is, honestly, like there's just bits I connected with in some of the movies and bits I didn't. But again, this is all on one watch, and I'm kind of emotional talking about this movie because this has been a journey for me, you guys. I don't watch superhero movies.
I'm jealous of you because you didn't have to wait 20 years to see Tobey Maguire again. You waited a few weeks.
Yeah, you got to wait like 2 months.
So jealous. And I'm jealous.
Yeah,
of people
but I
who
did
haven't seen this movie yet.
I did have to sit through 2 scenes of spiders dropping on people. For the record.
That's true.
That was rough.
I will give that to Homecoming. We didn't have to watch that again.
That was rough.
Didn't have to watch Uncle Ben die.
You did not.
Somebody die later. Didn't watch Uncle Ben die. So.
Oh man.
God, how long is this episode?
It's almost 2 hours.
It's almost 2 hours. It's almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you for coming along for this epic journey of reviewing Spider-Man No Way Home. I can't believe we are
here.
We now live in a society that this movie is out and available. It's just so weird.
Where Andrew Garfield doesn't have to lie anymore.
Yeah, it's so weird.
He's probably the most relieved. It's like I can go plug my Oscar movie without lying about being Spider-Man now.
It's amazing. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've seen it. I hope you loved it, and I hope that it was everything.
I hope you've seen it after you've listened to this.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
If you haven't,
if not, we just ruined the movie for you, and I'm not sorry. So remember, we're gonna have a spoiler review of the entire Hawkeye series coming up after the Wednesday finale, and we're going to be, once it gets closer to the release date and after we've seen it, I think we're going to do a review of Morbius, because I have this sneaking suspicion a post-credit scene is going to involve somebody. So that being said, thank you guys.
Weird.
I think it's pretty good. I'm excited for it, especially after this movie. But until next time, guys, with great power comes
Don't
great
say it, you'll die.
No.
Hopefully not, knock on wood. I have to drive to work tomorrow. Anyway, guys, enjoy Spider-Man No Way Home. Enjoy all the things, and we will see you next time.